Welcome to Journey Through the Sea, a podcast about survivorship, healing, and hope. I'm Kerry Postale, cancer survivor and author of Journey Through the Sea. Joining me as host is my partner Joey, who will be helping me guide our conversation as we talk about the moments that shape my journey. In this series, I share the moments that shape my journey from diagnosis to life after cancer, and the lessons that continue to unfold along the way. In the first two episodes, we talked about diagnosis and the emotional side of cancer. Today, we're focusing on how that experience turned into something more, how pain can evolve into purpose, and what it looked like for me to share my story through writing.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Kerry. Welcome again. First question. When did you first start thinking about writing your story?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to write a book. I've always said I should write a story about this, about like work or school. But then I really got a purpose to write. And so I took some time off during my chemo treatments from work, and I had time to journal and just get my thoughts across. And I think like processing it and putting it down on paper really helped. And that's like when I knew I wanted to start writing that story and just be able to share my story out there for others.
And I think you also like to journal. Is that true?
Yes, I love journaling. I feel like it gets my thoughts out of my head and out to paper. And it's just a way to heal and a way to process all of my emotions instead of crying. And, I just feel like it's a way to get my emotions out on paper and process in the best way that I can.
And do you think journaling was a process to getting to the book?
Yes, definitely. I feel like the journal prompts or journal entries that I was working on, they really showed like how I can go from a journal prompt to write a whole chapter. And then each chapter became into the story. And that's how Journey Through the Sea became its full focus.
Where'd you get these prompts? Just online, or did the social workers give you stuff to think about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, I did, some research online, but the social worker, Tara from Dana-Farber, she was definitely someone who shared some journal prompts and was like, I think these would help you get out what you're feeling. Because sometimes I'd say, I don't know, I just feel sad or I just feel emotional. And she'd say, let's try this prompt and it will help you get those thoughts onto paper. And then sometimes I would like crumble them up and, throw them away. But then I would add them back in to the story too.
Right. And so follow on to the original question, what made you decide to actually write a book?
Yeah. So I always love helping people. That has been a dream of mine. Like from when I was little, I've always been the person who has been helping others no matter what. And I realized that there's a purpose for why I went through cancer, and there's a purpose I was even diagnosed with cancer. So I kind of turned that like pain into purpose here. And I wanted to help others feel less alone. I think I didn't have any friends, as I think I've mentioned before. Like I didn't have any friends that were going through cancer, which I'm thankful that I didn't.
Right.
But I kind of felt alone because I didn't have someone necessarily to relate to me. So I feel like writing that book will hopefully help others be able to pick it up and say, wow, I can relate to that story, or that resonates so much with me. I think also like other than helping people, I want to give back to others and make a big impact on them. I think the story helps me get my thoughts out, as I've mentioned, but it also helps others relate to it so much. And that's just really important. And it just turned, that pain into something so meaningful. And I hope others can feel that too.
A few months ago, I went with you to one of your appointments, and you told me beforehand, I'm going to be the youngest person in here. And yes, we were the youngest people in there. And then just thinking about it, hopefully this book connects with younger people and everyone, but younger people, because usually cancer doesn't affect the middle group. It's either young or on the older side. But again, cancer does not pick and choose. It just goes for it.
No, for sure. I know I actually shared that with somebody the other day. Like, I'm like, cancer does not discriminate. Like, no matter how old, no matter your sex, no matter your ethnic background, anything, like, it doesn't discriminate. People are affected by cancer, no matter if they're affected by it themselves or they know someone that's gone through it. So even if someone hasn't gone through cancer, but knows someone that can, I want them to be able to pick up the book too and be able to relate to that.
Mm-hmm. And was there fear around sharing your story so openly as well?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I've joked like I'm an open book now because I will share and I will be open to sharing like the hard parts too. But yeah,
you've always felt like you're an open book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely have. But I feel like I'm like more an open book now that I'm like, okay, like I'm not afraid to share like the hard parts of being tired and having teeth pain and certain things, certain symptoms like that. But I think just reliving those moments was definitely hard. I remember like writing and it would bring up memories and I'd be like, okay, I got to like take a step back and let me like flip to like a funny story or a blooper or, like let me just kind of pivot to a different story. And then I'd go back. And so I did a lot of that. Like I'd start writing and then it would bring up a memory and I'd be like, okay, let me pivot to a fun part or pivot to like something where I'm proud of myself. And then I can go back and write the hard parts too.
Did you ever feel vulnerable with expressing yourself so openly?
Yes, I definitely did. I think it sometimes is hard to like put yourself out there because it's like, I think sometimes like you think about yourself and you are hard on yourself and you are like, should I be even sharing this story? Like, do I even have like, I don't know, do I even have like the right to be sharing this? Like, is anyone going to even care about this story? But I realize that if it's important to me, it's important to other people. And even if it's important to just one person and it helps one person, that impact is important, no matter how many people it helps.
Right, exactly. Because then even if directly connect to someone, word of mouth can spread. So that's very important.
Of course.
What was the hardest part about writing the book?
I think like letting myself like be honest and reliving those moments too. Like as I mentioned, I think like just sitting with the emotions of it was really hard because I am like an empathetic person and I'm sensitive to that. And I wanted to be honest, but it was hard. I will say the hardest chapter of the book was writing about work because I really wanted to share that part of the story, but I really wanted to be cautious of how I was sharing it, and I didn't want it to like look bad on my performance or, just I didn't want things to happen after that that would affect like work going forward. But I knew it was an important part because I unfortunately had a boss at that time that just wasn't really understanding. And I think that's something that even if someone wasn't going through cancer could relate to that, work not understanding and work thinking that like, oh, like, can't you just change your chemo days? Or can't you work on the weekends to make up for the days that you need to be off? And it's like, as most people know, once you get assigned a day for chemo, that's your day for the next 6 months. And that has become your day. There's nothing.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that go through this. And if you ask to move one day, then the next person has to forcefully move it and, chain effect. And yeah, that's not doable.
Exactly. And like, also, like, you need to like advocate for yourself. I think we've talked about that in some other episodes. Like, you need to be like, no, like, that's not a realistic thing for you to even ask me. And so I think that chapter was hard to write about, but I really wanted to be honest about it because I think it's an important topic to talk about that people don't really talk about at all.
And then the other part where your boss mentioned, oh, maybe you work a weekend. If you have not even a Friday, a Thursday chemo day, and then the after effects, you can't do anything on the weekend. You don't want to do anything on the weekend.
Exactly. I know. Like, my chemo was Mondays. My chemo days were Monday. And I still remember, like, my first chemo, I remember, was November 7th. Like, certain dates you'll just always remember. And I remember I was like, oh, I feel good enough to work the next day. I mean, I was working from home, but still, I was like, I feel good. And I was sitting there and I was like, why am I putting myself like through this? Like, why am I working the next day? I just did chemo. And I think that was like a realization too. Like, you have to be like, no, like, I need to take the time off and I need to be there for myself and rest when I need to. And like, hello, you're going through something so hard like that. It's okay to do that.
I think that's the American way. Other parts of the country are really more flexible with that. But that's just the way it is. So I don't know if anyone out there is listening. Hey, stand up for it, fight for it, see what happens.
No, great point.
And so how did writing help you heal?
Yes, I think, like I mentioned, writing definitely helped me take those notes like that were in my head and process all the emotions and put it down on paper. I think from beginning to end, like the way that the book is, like, it starts a little bit about me, of course, before cancer, and then it leans right into the whole journey. So like when I was diagnosed, to like the treatments, to the symptoms, and then it ends up a year after I finished. And so that is like the whole process of it. And I think I was just able to reclaim like my voice from that because I also wanted to obviously be the one to write it because I'm the one that walked through it. No one else walked through my shoes. And so I wanted to be able to just share the story from the beginning to the end and just learn so much about myself and be able to help others. But while helping others, that also helps me heal because I know that I'm giving back to others. And it makes me really like proud of myself. And I feel stronger physically and emotionally too.
Right. You said that you wanted to write it because sometimes if you reach out to someone else, they can, twist a little bit here and there to amp up a certain angle, and that wasn't your goal. You wanted to be true about it, and it's up to the writer how they want to express it. But yeah, you have to be cautious about those things.
Yeah.
So, again, that's why it's called a memoir. You
of course
experienced it.
I wanted to add too, like another reason I made it short is because I know everyone has like a different reading level, and also if you're sick, you might not feel like reading a 300-400 page book. And so I made it short because I wanted anyone, no matter their reading level or their ability to read, and comprehend certain things when going through stuff like this. So I made it short that, that reason, because like I wanted anyone to be able to pick it up and say like, okay, I can read a few chapters or read a chapter, put it down, flip to the next chapter, like flip back and forth. And no one has to read it like from chapter 1 to the end. Like they can flip through and even look at photos that I have at the end too, just in case they need like a little mental break from reading.
Yeah, sometimes for me, a lot of words can get jumbling, so pictures are great. More of a visual learner.
Yeah.
And then what surprised you most once you shared your story?
Yeah, I think like looking back, I remember when I first shared that I was in remission, I said, and good news, I'm also writing a book. And people were like, wow, that's so cool. And so it took about 2 years from like the beginning to editing to proofreading to getting it self-published. But people had reached out to me, like so many people from either like high school or college were like, oh my gosh, I have a friend that's going through cancer. And I think that's amazing that you wrote a book. I can't wait to share with them. Just yesterday, I was at the Women's Leadership Conference, and that was at the DCU Center in Worcester. And so many people stopped by the table and they were like, oh, wow, like my mom, my sister, my brother had cancer. Like we've said before, it doesn't discriminate and everyone's affected by it somehow. And so that is what really surprised me about sharing my story, is how much cancer affects like everyone. And just like messages that people have like sent to me, like, wow, like you're so inspiring that you shared your story. I've used, I know in the other episodes, like that I always feel like I'm like the Wonder Woman and I have to be the Wonder Woman. But I also think it's a good reason to be a Wonder Woman because you are so strong to go through that. And then also to share your story is like another bonus. And then just realizing how connected people are through struggle. Just last month, both of us went to the Dana-Farber Young Adult Conference, and you can see like everyone has a different cancer or is going through something. Not everyone's going through the same cancer, and all different ages and all different, all just different stories. But people are just so connected, and it's like that group that you don't want to be a part of, but you're happy that you are because you make so many friends through it, and they can just relate on a different level. And so the connection is huge. I've always been, like I said, I've always been a person that wants to help people and wants to make them feel connected. And I'm hoping that my story can do just that.
Yeah, from the last episode, some of the questions were about how do others see it and how do they react, and not personally going through it, like you being affected by it, like the actual cancer. It's hard to relate, but then going to these events, all different people of different levels of the cancer or intensity of it. You're like, wow, I thought I had it bad, and this person had it worse, or things like that. And yeah, it's hard to attend those events because people are very open about it, but it's also it brings you back into life, and it's like, wow, yeah, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, there isn't. I hope one day they could find a cure for all cancers. That would be amazing. Exactly. But I think just, having that story out there for others, and others can read it and then share it with other people. And I'm hoping that it can be seen in other countries, and it would be really cool.
And then one final note, I do want to congratulate you on 3 years cancer-free. Congrats to that, Kerry.
Thank you very much. I know, it's crazy to think. I know, I was telling Joey, I was watching some videos today of I used to film a couple videos and put them on TikTok just to kind of share my journey that way. And that's really, I think, how some people found out from the beginning. And I was looking back and I was like, wow, I don't even recognize myself. In some videos, I was like, wow, I don't even remember that. But I'm proud that I still have those because I think that also shaped the story too.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Taking a moment to reflect, writing this book wasn't just about telling a story. It was about understanding it. Turning pain into purpose doesn't happen overnight. But for me, writing Journey Through the Sea was a way to take one of the hardest experiences of my life and turn it into something that could help someone else feel seen, understood, and less alone. If today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to share with someone who may need it. You can follow me on Instagram, Kerry_Postale, Postale, for upcoming events. You can also learn more about my story and my book, Journey Through the Sea, online via Amazon. Thank you for listening to Journey Through the Sea. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, share, and join us for the next conversation. Thank you so much.